The stars looked peaceful that night. A small human cargo ship moved quietly through the dark sea of space. Inside, a young man named Ethan Cole sat in the cockpit. He was only 23, just a simple worker delivering supplies to a nearby colony. To him, space was nothing more than work and long silence. He had no idea his life was about to change forever. The warning alarms came without mercy. Beep, beep, beep. Ethan's heart jumped as red lights flashed across the control panel. His ship shook violently. Outside the window, he saw flashes of strange blue fire tearing across the black sky. These were not human weapons. Something unknown was attacking. System damage. Shields failing, the computer voice shouted. Ethan tried to steer, but his ship was too slow, too weak. One more blast struck the side. The controls sparked. His ship spun out of control. Ethan's body slammed against the seat as the stars blurred. He was drifting, falling into the unknown. For a moment, silence returned. The alarms died. His ship floated like broken glass in the void. Ethan's breath came hard and fear filled his chest. He thought this was the end, alone, lost, but then something impossible happened. From the darkness, a massive shadow appeared, a starship unlike anything human eyes had seen before. Its shape was elegant, like wings of silver light. Strange symbols glowed along its hull. It moved with silent grace, and in that moment Ethan knew. This was not a human ship. Alien. The giant vessel stopped beside his broken craft. Beams of golden light reached out, surrounding him. He felt the ship pulling him in as if space itself had hands. Ethan's mind screamed, "Captured. I'm being captured." When he opened his eyes again, he was no longer in his ship. He lay on a cold metal floor inside a glowing chamber. Tall alien guards surrounded him. Their armor shined like crystal, their eyes sharp and unblinking. Ethan tried to move, but his body felt heavy. The aliens spoke in a language he could not understand. But then a strange device buzzed, and suddenly the words became clear. "He is the human," one guard whispered. "He should not be here," another said. Ethan forced himself to speak. I don't know what happened. My ship was attacked. Please, I don't want trouble." The guards looked at him with suspicion, ready to strike. But before they could act, the room went silent. The air itself seemed to change. A figure entered. She walked with a calm grace, her presence commanding everyone's attention. Her skin shimmered faintly under the light, a soft shade of silver blue. Her long hair glowed like threads of starlight, and her eyes, bright, deep, filled with mystery, locked onto Ethan. The guards lowered their heads. "The princess," they whispered. Ethan's heart raced. He could not believe it. An alien, a princess. She looked no older than him, yet carried herself with the power of royalty. She stopped in front of him. For a long moment she simply studied him, as if she could see into his soul. Then she raised her hand, a delicate hand glowing with energy. Strange lights danced across Ethan's body, scanning him from head to toe. Everyone waited for her command. And then, in a voice clear and strong, she spoke. "He is the one." The guards froze. "Your Highness, that cannot be." "He is the one," the princess repeated, her eyes never leaving Ethan's. "The prophecy speaks true. This human, he is my chosen mate." Ethan's mind went blank. "What?" he whispered, his voice breaking. The guards erupted in shock, shouting in protest. "Impossible. He is just a human. He is weak." But the princess raised her hand, silencing them all. Her voice was calm but unshakable. "Fate has spoken. He is chosen, and no one will harm him." Ethan's heart pounded louder than any alarm. Mate, chosen? This had to be a mistake. He wanted to deny it, to stand up and shout, but he could not move. Her gaze held him like gravity. He saw something in her eyes. Something strange. Something real. Was it destiny? Before he could speak again, the ship shook violently. The chamber's walls trembled. Sirens screamed, "Enemy fleet incoming!" a guard shouted. On the glowing screens, Ethan saw them. Dark ships with burning red lights swarming like wolves. They were not human, and they were not friendly. "They are after him," another guard said. The princess turned to Ethan, her face calm but serious. "You are not safe here. They will kill you to break the prophecy." Ethan's chest tightened. This was insane. Hours ago, he was just delivering cargo. Now he was standing before an alien princess, being told he was part of some prophecy, and an entire fleet wanted him dead. "Why me?" he whispered. "Why me?" The princess stepped closer. She placed her glowing hand gently on his chest, right above his pounding heart. "Because, human," she said softly, "the stars have chosen you." And as the alien fleet fired their first strike, the chamber exploded with light. The ship shook as explosions thundered outside. Alarms echoed through the alien halls. Ethan stumbled to his feet, his heart racing. The alien guards rushed to their stations, shouting in their strange tongue. The princess stood calm in the middle of the chaos, her silver blue eyes fixed on Ethan. "Stay close to me," she commanded. Before Ethan could respond, a blast rocked the chamber. The floor split. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Two guards grabbed Ethan by the arms, dragging him through the smoke. "Protect the princess," voices cried out. Ethan's mind spun. Just hours ago, he was nothing but a cargo pilot. Now alien soldiers were pulling him through a starship under attack, calling him part of some prophecy. His chest tightened as fear gripped him. Why me? Why now? They entered a corridor glowing with strange blue light. The princess walked beside him, her long hair flowing like a comet's tail. Even in danger, she moved with grace, her face unreadable. Ethan finally broke the silence. "What do you mean, chosen? I don't even know who you are." The princess glanced at him, her eyes steady. "You will understand soon." "That's not an answer," Ethan snapped. His voice shook more from fear than anger. "I'm just a human. I'm no warrior. I don't belong here." Her gaze softened just for a moment. "Fate does not care what you believe. You are here because the stars willed it." Before he could argue, the corridor door blasted open. Enemy soldiers poured in. Tall, armored in black, their weapons glowing red. The alien guards raised their crystal spears. Energy bolts lit the hall in a storm of fire. Ethan ducked behind a wall as screams filled the air. His pulse hammered in his ears. One enemy soldier broke through the line, charging straight for the princess. Ethan's body moved before his mind could think. He grabbed a fallen guard's weapon, strange and heavy in his hands, and swung. The weapon released a pulse of blue energy, striking the enemy square in the chest. The soldier crashed to the ground, unmoving. The hall went silent for half a second. Everyone stared at Ethan, even the princess's eyes widened. "That weapon, it responds to him," one guard whispered in disbelief. Ethan looked at the glowing spear in his hands, stunned. I didn't even know how it worked." The princess's lips curved into the faintest smile. "The prophecy is true." More enemies rushed forward. The guards fought fiercely, and somehow Ethan found himself fighting too. Every time he swung the weapon, it hummed with strange energy, as if it recognized him. His arms shook with fear, but he refused to let the princess fall. When the last enemy collapsed, the corridor was filled with smoke and the scent of burning metal. Ethan's chest heaved with exhaustion. He dropped the weapon, staring at his trembling hands. What just happened to me?" he whispered. The princess stepped closer, her eyes searching his face. "The weapon chose you. Only a true mate could wield it." Ethan backed away, shaking his head. No, this is insane. "I can't be your mate. I don't even know your name." She looked at him with quiet strength. "My name is Serenia, daughter of the High Throne. And you, Ethan Cole, are bound to me by destiny." Before Ethan could answer, a sharp voice cut through the hall. An elder alien with silver armor approached, his face stern and full of authority. "Princess Serenia, this is madness," he declared. "He is human, weak. He will bring only ruin to our people." Serenia's eyes flashed with defiance. "He is chosen. I saw it with my own eyes," the elder sneered at Ethan. "Then let the enemies have him. Better he die than doom us all." Guards shifted uncomfortably. The tension grew heavy. Ethan felt the weight of their hatred pressing on him. Serenia stepped forward, her voice cold as steel. "No one touches him. Not while I breathe." The elder narrowed his eyes but said no more. He turned sharply and left. Ethan exhaled shakily. "They hate me. They'll kill me the moment you look away." Serenia looked at him with calm certainty. "Then stay where I can see you." Hours later, the enemy attack slowed. The royal ship drifted into safe space, though the damage was clear. Fires burned in the distance. Wounded soldiers groaned. Ethan sat alone in a chamber, his thoughts a storm. The word mate echoed in his mind again and again. It made no sense. He was human. She was not. This was not his world. Yet he could still feel her hand on his chest. The way her eyes had locked onto his, as if nothing else in the universe mattered. A whisper in the dark pulled him from his thoughts. Kill the human before the prophecy comes true. Ethan's eyes shot open. Shadows moved at the edge of the chamber. Figures cloaked in black crept toward him, blades glowing red. His blood ran cold. He realized the truth. He was not only chosen. He was hunted. The chamber was silent except for Ethan's quick breathing. His eyes searched the dark corners. The shadows moved again. He wasn't imagining it. Assassins were here. 3 figures in black cloaks stepped forward, their blades glowing with a red light that made the walls shimmer. They moved like ghosts, soundless, dangerous. Human, one of them hissed. Your life ends tonight. Ethan's body froze. His heart hammered so loudly he thought they could hear it. He wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. The door was sealed. His hands trembled as he backed away. The assassins closed in. The door slid open with a sharp hiss. A burst of light cut through the gloom. Princess Serenia entered with 2 guards. Her eyes locked instantly on Ethan, then shifted to the assassins. Protect him, she shouted. The guards rushed forward, clashing with the cloaked killers. Sparks lit the chamber as blades struck armor. The assassins moved swiftly, faster than normal soldiers, striking with deadly precision. 1 guard fell in seconds. The other barely held his ground. Ethan's fear turned to panic. He looked around desperately. On the floor beside the fallen guard lay the same strange weapon he had used before. The crystal spear glowed faintly as if waiting for him. His instinct screamed, "Don't touch it. This isn't your fight." But his heart whispered something else. Serenia was in danger. With a shaky breath, Ethan grabbed the weapon. The moment his hand closed around it, the spear came alive. Blue light surged, humming with energy. His fear was drowned by a strange rush, as if the weapon gave him courage. 1 assassin turned toward him. Ethan swung wildly. The spear released a burst of energy, striking the assassin square in the chest and sending him crashing into the wall. Everyone froze for a heartbeat. The assassins looked at Ethan with burning hatred. So the prophecy is true. Ethan swallowed hard. His hand shook, but he raised the weapon anyway. Stay away from me. They didn't listen. They attacked. Ethan fought clumsily, every swing driven more by desperation than skill. Yet each strike of the spear seemed to guide itself. The weapon hummed, almost alive, protecting him. He blocked a blade, deflected another, and pushed back with bursts of energy. Serenia's guards fell, leaving only Ethan between her and the assassins. She watched him with wide eyes, not of fear, but of something deeper. When 1 assassin lunged at her, Ethan didn't think. He threw himself forward, slamming the spear against the attacker. The assassin fell with a scream, dissolving into ash as the weapon's energy consumed him. The last assassin snarled and vanished into smoke. Retreating into the shadows, the chamber grew quiet again. Ethan collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. His arms felt heavy, his whole body trembling. The spear dimmed in his grip. Serenia rushed to him, kneeling by his side. Her hand touched his shoulder gently. You saved me, she whispered. Ethan looked up, sweat dripping from his forehead. I didn't even know what I was doing. Her eyes shone with something soft, almost tender. Yet you did it. The doors burst open. Soldiers stormed in, too late to help. They saw the dead assassins and the human holding the glowing weapon. Their faces darkened. This is dangerous, one muttered. He shouldn't even be alive, another whispered. The elder from before entered, his expression like stone. He studied the scene with cold eyes. You see? Trouble follows him. He is a curse, not a blessing. Ethan dropped the spear instantly. I don't want any of this. I never asked for it. His voice cracked, filled with exhaustion and fear. The elder's voice was sharp. Then leave. Leave before you doom us all. But Serenia stood, her presence silencing the room. No, he stays. Her words were unshakable. She looked at Ethan, then at her people. Tonight he proved himself. Without him, I would be dead. Without him, the assassins would have won. The elder scowled. You let your heart blind you, princess. This human will destroy us. Serenia's gaze hardened. Or he will save us. Later, Ethan sat alone again, this time in a quiet garden chamber. Strange alien plants glowed with soft light, their leaves humming faintly. He buried his face in his hands. His whole body shook from the memory of the fight. A sound of footsteps made him look up. Serenia approached, her long gown brushing against the glowing grass. She sat beside him without a word. For a while, they just sat in silence. The air smelled of sweet alien flowers. The stars shone through the crystal ceiling above. Finally, Ethan spoke. I'm not who you think I am. I'm not a hero. I'm just me. Serena's eyes lingered on him. Do you know why the prophecy speaks of a human? He shook his head. Because humans have something my people lost long ago, she said softly. A fire inside. A will to survive even when hope is gone. Tonight I saw that fire in you. Ethan looked at her, lost in her words. For the first time, he didn't see a princess or an alien. He saw someone who believed in him when no one else did. His chest tightened, not from fear, but from something new. Something dangerous. Before he could speak, a soldier ran into the garden, his voice urgent. Your Highness, the council demands your presence. They say the human must be judged at once. Serena's eyes darkened. She looked at Ethan with quiet worry. Stay close. Whatever happens, do not lose hope. Ethan nodded, though his stomach twisted. Judged by who? For what? As they walked into the glowing halls, he felt every eye on him, some filled with fear, some with hatred, and some with curiosity. But deep inside, Ethan knew one truth. Tonight, something had changed. The weapon had chosen him. Serena had chosen him, and now, the entire alien empire would decide if he lived or died. The council chamber glowed with cold light. Tall alien leaders stood in a circle, their crystal robes shimmering like frozen fire. In the center stood Ethan with Princess Serena at his side. Hundreds of eyes stared at him, some curious, most hostile. To them, he was not a guest. He was an intruder, a problem, maybe even a curse. The elder with silver armor stepped forward, his voice booming. This human brings danger. Already assassins came for him. Already enemies chase our ship. He must be cast out before he destroys us all. Murmurs spread through the chamber like ripples on water. Ethan swallowed hard. He felt smaller than ever. He wanted to shout that none of this was his fault, but the words stuck in his throat. Then Serena's voice rang clear. Without him, I would be dead. The assassins would have succeeded. He has proven himself. Her words silenced the chamber for a moment, but the elder's eyes narrowed. Princess, you let your emotions guide you. You speak of fate, but I see only chaos. Our people will not accept a human as your chosen one. The weight of his words pressed down on Ethan. Chosen one. Mate. Destiny. He had never asked for this, yet now his life balanced on the edge of their judgment. That night, the council still argued, voices raised in anger. Ethan sat alone in his small chamber, staring at the glowing walls. His thoughts spun in endless circles. He didn't belong here. He wanted to go home. Yet every time he thought of Serena, something inside pulled him back. Suddenly, the door slid open. A soldier entered. His face was hidden under a silver mask. The council has decided, the soldier said coldly. You must come. Ethan rose slowly, his stomach twisting. He followed the soldier through long, silent halls. The ship's glow felt colder than before, as if the walls themselves knew something dark was coming. Instead of the council chamber, the soldier led him into a dark hangar bay. Ethan stopped, confused. This isn't the way, he said. The soldier turned. His voice changed, filled with venom. No, this is. In a flash, the soldier pulled a blade from his belt, lunging at Ethan. Ethan stumbled back, his heart slamming against his chest. He grabbed the nearest object, a metal pipe, and blocked the strike just in time. Sparks flew. Traitor! Ethan shouted, realizing the truth. This was no loyal soldier. This was another assassin. They fought in the shadows of the hangar. Ethan swung wildly, his arms aching, his fear screaming. But the assassin was fast, too fast. The blade grazed Ethan's side, burning like fire. He collapsed to one knee, gasping. Then a voice cut through the air. Stop! Serena stood at the doorway, her eyes blazing with fury. She raised her hand, releasing a surge of energy. The assassin was thrown across the hangar, crashing into a wall. The mask cracked, revealing not just a soldier, but one of the high commanders of her own people. Ethan's eyes widened. One of yours. Serena's face darkened with sorrow. Yes, betrayal runs deeper than we feared. The commander spat blood, glaring at her. You dishonor our empire by protecting him. The human will doom us all. Guards arrived, dragging the traitor away, but the wound of betrayal cut deep. Later, Serena walked beside Ethan through the quiet halls. His side still burned from the cut, though healers had patched it. Your own people want me dead, Ethan said softly. Serena's eyes were heavy with sadness. Not all, but many fear change. They fear what you mean. Ethan stopped, staring at her. Then why protect me? Why risk everything for me? She turned to him, her voice low but strong. Because I believe in the prophecy. And because... She paused as if the next words were too heavy. Because I believe in you. Ethan's chest tightened. No one had ever looked at him that way before. Her trust, her faith, it was more terrifying than the assassins. But danger was not finished. The royal ship moved through the stars, but enemies tracked them still. Reports came of fleets gathering, hunting. One night, as Ethan trained with the glowing spear under Serenya's watch, alarms blared again. The ship shook. The elder stormed in, his face pale with fury. The enemy has found us. They target the princess. They target him. Before Serenya could react, the ship jolted. Explosions echoed down the halls. Soldiers shouted. In the chaos, shadows moved again. Betrayers inside the ship struck without warning. Loyal guards fell one by one, and in the confusion, Ethan saw the unthinkable. Serenya being dragged away by masked soldiers. Serenya! He shouted, his voice raw. She struggled, reaching out to him. Ethan! But before he could reach her, the traitors vanished into the burning halls, taking her with them. Ethan stood frozen in the smoke, his chest heaving. His hands clenched the glowing spear until his knuckles burned. They had taken her. He had failed. But in that crushing moment of despair, something else rose inside him. Not fear, not doubt, but fire, he whispered through clenched teeth. No one takes her from me. His eyes burned with a new light. He was done running. He was done doubting. For the first time, Ethan Cole felt something he had never felt before. Not just fear. Not just survival, but the will to fight. Smoke still clung to the halls of the alien ship. Ethan stood frozen, his chest burning as Serenya's last cry echoed in his mind. She was gone. Taken by traitors, he had failed to protect her. But as the alarms blared and soldiers rushed past him, Ethan felt something change deep inside. Fear was still there, yes, but it was buried under something stronger. Resolve. He clenched the glowing spear in his hand. No one takes her away from me. Not enemies. Not traitors. Not anyone. The surviving guards carried news to him. The traitors had fled in a fast cruiser heading toward the enemy fleet. Serenya was alive, but only for now. The elder sneered when he heard Ethan's voice. What will you do, human? You are weak. You cannot lead a rescue, but Ethan met his cold eyes. For the first time, his voice was steady. Then watch me. The elder scoffed, but there was no stopping him. Ethan had already made his choice. In the training hall, he pushed himself until his arms screamed. He practiced with the alien spear again and again, striking at moving targets, blocking energy bolts fired by drones. The weapon seemed to learn with him, guiding his clumsy movements into sharper strikes. You are reckless, said a young alien soldier, one of Serenya's loyalists. His name was Kael, his eyes glowing faint blue. But you fight with heart. That matters more than skill. Ethan gave a tired grin. I'll take all the help I can get. So Kael and a small group of loyal guards began training him. Day after day, Ethan grew faster. His body ached, but he refused to stop. With each strike, each block, he imagined Serenya's face. It gave him strength no training could teach. One evening, Ethan sat alone in the quiet hangar. He stared at the stars, thinking of Earth. He remembered the simple life he had left behind. The small house, the long nights of loneliness, the dream that he was meant for something more. Now, here he was, a human caught in a war between empires, a human chosen by an alien princess, a human who could change everything. The thought should have broken him. Instead, it hardened him. For the first time, he whispered into the void, I'll bring you back, Serenya. I swear it. The rescue mission began. The loyal guards prepared a sleek warship, small but fast, armed with powerful alien weapons. Ethan learned to pilot it, guided by Kael. At first, his hand shook at the controls. But slowly, the strange alien systems bent to his will. Somehow they seemed to respond to him just as the spear did. Impossible, Kyle muttered as he watched. You fly as if the ship itself listens to you. Ethan smirked nervously. Then let's hope it listens all the way. The journey to the enemy fleet was dangerous. They moved through asteroid fields, dodging patrols. At times, Ethan almost lost hope. But each time he remembered Serenya's voice. Do not lose hope. He held on to those words like a lifeline. Finally, the enemy fleet came into view. dozens of dark ships glowing with red lights waiting like predators. In the center, a grand flagship loomed vast and menacing. That was where they held her. Ethan felt it in his bones. "We'll never break through their lines," Cale warned. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll outthink them." He led the ship into the shadows of the asteroids, weaving between rocks while the fleet's sensors searched blindly. His hands moved with growing confidence, each turn sharper, each dodge cleaner. Enemy patrols came close. But Ethan used tricks, powering down to hide, releasing decoys, darting through gaps at the last second. The alien soldiers stared at him in disbelief. "He flies like no one I've ever seen," one whispered. "Not like one of us," Kyle agreed. His eyes turned toward Ethan, like a human. Finally, they slipped through the lines. The enemy flagship loomed ahead. Ethan's heart thundered. Inside that ship, Serenia was trapped, perhaps even facing her final moments. "We only get one chance," Ethan said, his voice steady now. "Either we save her, or we all die trying." The loyal soldiers nodded. They were ready. As they approached, the flagship's alarms blared. Enemy ships broke formation, closing in. Beams of red fire streaked past, shaking Ethan's warship. He gritted his teeth, swerving, weaving, diving. The others held on for dear life. Explosions lit the void as he returned fire. Alien cannons blasting holes into the enemy fleet. But no matter how many ships they destroyed, more swarmed around them. A direct hit rocked the warship. Systems screamed. Sparks flew across the controls. Kel shouted, "We won't last long." Ethan's knuckles whitened around the controls. His eyes locked on the enemy flagship. "Then we don't fight them all," he growled. "We go straight through." The warship dove, engines roaring at full power. Enemy fire rained down, but Ethan didn't slow. He spun the ship in impossible turns, dodging death by inches. He could feel the ship answering him, almost alive under his hands. Straight ahead, the enemy flagship loomed larger and larger. The soldiers screamed, "We'll crash!" But Ethan's eyes blazed with fire. "Not if we make it first." The warship slammed into the flagship's docking bay, breaking through with a thunderous crash. Sparks and flames exploded around them. Alarms shrieked as enemy soldiers rushed in. Ethan stood, the glowing spear in his hand. His voice rang with iron. "Let's bring her home." And with that, the human who once was just a cargo pilot stepped forward into the heart of the enemy's empire. No longer running. No longer afraid. Now he was a warrior. The enemy flagship trembled from the crash. Smoke poured into the docking bay as Ethan and the loyal guards forced their way out of the broken warship. Enemy soldiers swarmed in, weapons glowing red. Ethan gripped the crystal spear, its blue light cutting through the smoke. His eyes burned with one purpose, find Serenia. The loyal guards formed around him, fighting fiercely. Energy bolts lit the air. Ethan swung the spear, each strike guided by instinct. The weapon hummed like a heartbeat, answering his will, but he had no time for a long battle. Through the chaos, Kyle shouted over the noise. "They're moving her to the royal hall." "A ceremony? It begins now?" Ethan's chest tightened. He knew what that meant. Serenia wasn't just captured, she was being forced into something worse. They fought through endless halls of fire and shadow. At last, the heavy doors of the royal hall came into view. Ethan kicked them open, his body trembling with rage and fear. The sight before him stopped his breath. The grand chamber glowed with crimson fire. Hundreds of alien nobles stood in silence, watching. At the center, Serenia knelt on a golden platform, chains of light binding her wrists. Beside her stood a tall alien prince clad in black and gold armor, his sharp eyes glinting with cruel pride. He held her hand as priests chanted strange words. A wedding. A forced union, the prince smirked when Ethan entered. "Ah, the little human. You've arrived just in time to watch me claim what is mine." Ethan's blood boiled. "She's not yours." The hall erupted with gasps and laughter. Nobles mocked him, their voices cruel. A human daring to speak in the royal hall? Impossible. Serenia's eyes lifted, filled with shock and something more. "Hope," the prince laughed, his voice echoing. "Do you think you can stop this human? You are nothing." A child playing with stolen toys, Ethan raised the glowing spear. His voice shook, but his words were steady. "Then fight me. If you're so certain, face me yourself." The nobles gasped again. A challenge. Ancient law stirred in their memories. The prince narrowed his eyes, then smiled darkly. "Very well. Let the ceremony wait. I will crush you before her eyes and end this prophecy of yours." The chains on Serenia vanished as guards dragged her aside. She screamed, "Ethan, don't!" But he didn't look away from the prince. The duel began. The prince struck first, moving with speed and precision. His blade cut through the air like lightning. Ethan barely blocked with the spear, the clash sending shockwaves across the hall. The nobles cheered for the prince, their voices thunderous. To them, Ethan was already dead. Ethan stumbled back, his arms aching. He was slower, weaker. Every strike from the prince drove him closer to the floor. "You see?" The prince sneered. "Humans are nothing. You will die here, and she will belong to me." Ethan's heart pounded. His breath came heavy. Fear whispered, "You can't win. He's stronger. He's better." But then he heard Serenia's voice clear above the noise. "Ethan, remember who you are." He looked at her, and for a moment the world slowed. He saw her eyes fierce and unbroken even in chains. He saw her belief in him, and in that moment Ethan realized the truth. He wasn't fighting with strength. He was fighting with heart. The prince lunged again. Ethan dodged at the last second, letting the blade strike the ground. He swung the spear low, tripping the prince. The crowd gasped. The prince rose in fury, striking harder, faster. Ethan didn't try to match his strength. Instead, he used quick, clever moves, rolling under strikes, using the prince's momentum against him, striking where armor was weak. Each time the spear hummed, it seemed to guide Ethan's hands, filling the gaps his skill could not. At last, the prince roared, raising his blade for a killing blow. Ethan ducked under it and thrust the spear forward, the blue light piercing through the prince's chest. The hall went silent. The prince staggered, his blade clattering to the floor. His eyes burned with disbelief. Impossible. A human. Then he fell, the life leaving him. The silence broke into chaos. Nobles shouted in anger and fear. Guards raised their weapons. The law had been fulfilled. The human had won. But the Empire would not accept it. Serenia ran to Ethan, her hands trembling as she touched his arm. "You did it," she whispered. Ethan dropped the spear, his chest heaving. "I didn't win because I'm strong. I won because I couldn't lose you." Her eyes softened, tears shining. In that moment, words were not needed. The bond between them was clear, but before they could breathe, the grand chamber shook violently. The walls trembled as alarms screamed. Outside the windows, the enemy fleet moved into position. Hundreds of warships surrounded them, their red lights burning like fire in the void. The nobles shouted in terror. Soldiers scrambled to defend. A voice boomed across the comms, dark and merciless. "The human has broken the ancient law. The Empire is in shame. Now begins the war that will end him, and all who follow him." Serenia's hand gripped Ethan's tightly. The war had come. The royal hall shook as alarms screamed. Outside the vast windows, hundreds of warships filled the void, their red lights glowing like a burning storm. The enemy fleet had surrounded them completely. Nobles panicked, soldiers shouted, and the hall dissolved into chaos. But Ethan stood still, the crystal spear glowing faintly in his hand. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. He had just killed the alien prince, and now the entire empire wanted blood. Serenia gripped his arm. Her eyes, though filled with fear, did not waver. This is the war they've been waiting for. They will destroy everything. Ethan looked at her, then at the terrified council. Then we don't wait for them to destroy us. We fight back. We fight together, the elder sneered. You, a human? You think you can lead us against that fleet? Ethan's voice rang with iron. Not me alone, but with all of us. If we stand divided, we lose. If we stand as one, we have a chance. The chamber went silent. For the first time, nobles and soldiers alike looked at him, not just as an intruder, but as something more. Moments later, the flagship roared to life. Ethan took the helm, the crystal spear locked into the command console like a key. The ship responded instantly, lights flaring brighter than ever. It was as if the vessel itself accepted him. Serenia stood beside him, her voice steady. Our people will follow if we show them courage. The prophecy was never about fate, it was about choice. Ethan nodded, his hands gripping the controls. Then let's make the right one. The loyal guards cheered, preparing for battle. Kale placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. Human or not, today you are one of us. The battle began, enemy ships opened fire, red beams cutting through the darkness. Explosions lit the void as the flagship dived into the storm. Ethan steered with impossible precision, weaving through enemy fire, striking back with bursts of blue energy. Every movement felt guided, as if the ship and spear were alive in his hands. The loyal fleet rallied behind him, their weapons blazing. For the first time, alien and human moved as one. Direct hit on their cruiser, Kale shouted. Enemy formation breaking, another guard cried. But the enemy was vast. For every ship destroyed, more pressed forward. The fleet threatened to swallow them whole. In the heart of the chaos, the enemy flagship emerged, a monstrous vessel, black as shadow, larger than any other. Its weapons glowed like a dying sun. One blast from it could end them all. Ethan's jaw tightened. That's the command ship. Take it down and the fleet loses control. Serenya's hand touched his arm. It's suicide. Their defenses are too strong. Ethan met her eyes. Then I'll make sure it's worth it. Her eyes widened. No, I won't let you sacrifice yourself. He gave a small, tired smile. It's not sacrifice if it saves you. If it saves us. For a moment, their eyes held each other, silent words unspoken. Then Ethan turned back to the stars. The flagship charged toward the enemy behemoth. Fire rained down, shaking the hull. Systems screamed warnings. Soldiers were thrown to the floor as explosions rocked the ship. Shields failing, Kale shouted. Ethan gritted his teeth. Hold steady. Just a little closer. The massive enemy ship unleashed its main cannon, a beam of red fire tearing across the void. Ethan twisted the controls, the flagship diving at the last second. The beam missed by inches, scorching past them. The loyal fleet surged behind him, inspired by his courage. Together they struck at the enemy giant, blasting its defenses apart piece by piece. Still, it wasn't enough. Ethan made his choice. He stood from the helm, the spear glowing brighter in his hands. Serenya, you can finish this. But I need to open the way. Her eyes filled with fear. Ethan, no, he smiled faintly. You said fate is about choice. This is mine. Before anyone could stop him, he placed the spear into the ship's heart. Blue energy surged, flooding the systems. The flagship came alive with unstoppable power. The ship itself became a weapon. Ethan guided it one last time, his mind and heart fused with the glowing light. The vessel roared forward, tearing through enemy fire, charging straight into the behemoth's core. The collision lit the stars in blinding blue. The enemy flagship shattered, breaking apart in fire and silence. The entire enemy fleet froze, their command destroyed. Chaos spread through their ranks as they scattered and fled. The war was won. Silence returned to the void. What remained of the loyal fleet drifted in awe. Inside the damaged royal hall, survivors gathered, whispering Ethan's name. The prophecy had been fulfilled, but not as they had expected. Serenya stood at the shattered window, her eyes lost in the stars. Her heart ached with pain, yet burned with pride. Kyle approached softly. He saved us all. He gave us peace, Serenya whispered, her voice trembling. No. He gave us more than that. He gave us hope. Weeks later, peace was signed. The war ended, and for the first time, humans and aliens spoke as allies. On the day of the treaty, Serenya stood before her people. Her voice carried across the stars. A human came to us as a stranger. He was hunted, hated, and doubted. But he chose to fight, not for himself, but for all of us. He was not chosen by prophecy. He was chosen by his own courage. And because of him, two worlds will never be enemies again. Her voice broke for a moment, but she smiled softly. He was my mate, my protector, and my love. And though he is gone, his fire will live forever. As the stars glittered above, Serenya lifted her hand to her heart. Far beyond, in the endless dark, she swore she could still feel him, Ethan Cole, the human who had changed the stars.